early morning. What am I doing up? Well, it's wedding season. My son just got married, and I got the wedding accessory book, but I know it's expensive. I had a wedding. Yeah, weddings are not cheap. And if you're a bride on a budget, this is the best way to make something unique. Now, you can save on your budget by borrowing a veil or making it or buying one. And sometimes when you buy the one that's in your budget, it's not really what you wanted, right? This veil that I'm going to show you how to make literally cost me less than probably $30. I know it's not less than 50, and I'm not going to wear it. This is what you need for the bride on a budget machine. And you don't even need well, you can use a glue gun if you want. I prefer not to. You need a piece of tulle. That's what the bridal veil fabric called, tulle. 60 inches by 60 inches. And that will work for a finger long piece, fingertip, halfway, or shoulder. 60 by 60 works for all three. If you go with the shorter veil, you can make it poofier if you want to. This one's just going to be basic and simple, but elegant. And then you need sewing needle, a hand sewing needle. Got one of those sitting right here. And a fairly long one. Now, if you have some beading thread for this, I would use the beading thread because it's stronger and it holds up really well. Then you need a strong, but it will still go through this tulle fabric. This is an iridescent pearl tulle, I think is what they called it. Then you will need a hair comb. Those little plastic hair combs. Okay. Now you need something to stand out here. Stuff into. And then jewelry wire. I get 16 or 18 gauge. You don't want it real thin, too flimsy. You want to have a little bit of body because you want it to hold it good. So I've got that. And then needles, a little bit of lace if I wanted to do that. I'm not going to use lace on this one. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Wire cutters to cut the wire. You want the kind that has the long needle nose, but they also have the cutter. So that way you don't have to buy two tools. You don't need needles. It's all in one. They come in most basic kits, beading kits. You can get these little pearls kind of things. But this is going to have a blusher veil. And if you've never seen a blusher veil, yeah, it's old school. It's old fashioned. I'm old. I love the blusher veils. There's something about a girl getting married the first time, and she's walking down to have her face hidden. He hasn't seen it for over 24 hours, and it's killing him. That's the best part. Now, how do you get the components for this? I said, the large. You get them. You ever been to a thrift store or, say, Goodwill? You ever go to the jewelry counter and you see they'll have these bags of stuff in there and they'll have a price on it. Well, I go on the go and I grab this. These are treasure troves. You have no idea what you might find in here. And what you do with all that, you make it into new stuff. That's what I do. But I also use it for my veils. And one of these bags, I found this little gem. Well, this was just, it looks like it was a brooch. It's not there anymore. And I thought to myself, that darn that butterflies are cute. I want a little bit of sparkle. A little bit of color. You know, everybody does white. Let's do some color. Since my son's wedding had green, hunter green, I had some little Swarovski crystals. So I said, I can use those. So you can get some crystals, you can get little pearls, and you can do whatever you want. So I have these. And then in another goodie bag, there's a bunch of metal stuff. Looks like it's something. Oh, there's nothing. Now this is what they look like before. It's a hammered metal. I don't know if y'all can see. But they're hammered metal. Not fancy. Until you spray paint them. What's neat about these is this was part of a belt. You know those metal clanky kind of elastic belts? Like these pieces are only on part of the back. It has 3 holes here, 3 holes here. This. I spray painted them with a very shiny metal, and then I coated it with a clear coat. I think I put like 3 layers clear coat on it. That piece in the front, you want to have it at least 3 to 4 inches wide because your comb is 3 inches. So you want to be able to have this width plus a little bit more to kind of cover this up. Now we'll see this. Not really. Then you need from your jewelry wire, 16 or 18 gauge. This is a 16, 18 to be a little bit more tight and hard to maneuver. So you want 3 pieces that are 9.5 inches. If you're using this kind of item. So I put the piece that I cut this off already, sorry. But I took the 9.5 inch wire and I fished it down through all 3 holes of this metal piece and then back up all through 3 holes on that piece. And I left the tails loose. You'll see why. 1/2 inch wire, first one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something for the veil fabric to hold on to on the back of this and the comb to hold on to. Getting interesting, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to take this. I want to make sure the end is straight. So it's curved, it won't go through there very well. I'm going to go through this side, box, and you get this crazy idea, and it actually comes together. Like my ideas. Okay. That's the first one. Now, I didn't put it all the way through. There's a reason why. I have to secure it. Okay. And I'm going to secure it to the other side on the top. See, there's no here for me to fish it through, but there is one on the opposite. And that's right here. I could do this a couple of different ways. I could do 3 pieces of wire back here at 1, 2, 3, which would give it more stability. This isn't bad. I mean, this will do just the job. The same job. I'm going to put it through there. I did use the middle one for the one side because I wanted it to be able to anchor it down. So I'm going to pull this through this way. This becomes the part of the base. Come on, get in there. See, now it wants to argue. It's like, I'm bent in the middle now. That's where the pliers come in handy. Force it. So there we go. Now, I don't want it to be, caved in. I want it to be straight. I'm going to straighten it out. And then I'm going to take this other piece here. I'm going to fish it down through. The other 2 holes on this side. Come on, get in there. And you do not need a sewing machine to make a veil. You can, before sewing machines, they hand sewed everything anyway, right? So, it's sense. And some people can't afford a sewing machine, but they want to have something unique and something that says, this is me. Or I still have a friend. Let me talk about it. I have a very good friend who, when she got married, she didn't do the traditional stuff, and I thought it was awesome. She had a string quartet for her music, and she had Baroque music, from the Elizabethan era, that kind of thing, being played at her wedding. And I made her dress in the style of 1912. It's my choice of career is for the bride. As soon as she takes her vows, she has family members who are getting ready to get married, so to speak, walk up to her and ask to borrow her dress for their wedding. That is so sweet. It's like the best compliment. From a seamstress point of view, that is like the ultimate compliment. All right, so now I've got that in there. And I'm going to connect the two sides very slightly by just bending this wire around. I'm just twisting it together. That's all I'm doing. Twisting the two ends together so that I now have of where this veil can be sewn onto to attach to it. So I'm going to hook those guys in there. Get in there where you belong. Thank you very much. And I'm going to secure that shut. Squeeze it real good. Just like that. Now this is never come in contact with the bride's head because it's going to be underneath the veil fabric. The veil fabric is going to be on the head and this is going to be above that. So don't have to worry about that. All right. Also helps me to straighten this wire out by doing this way. And that way it lays even flatter, which is exactly what I was trying to accomplish. All right. This is working out really well. So now I have the two pieces of wire. Now I could have done, I used one instead of two, sorry. But you do one, and then do the other. You secure them. And if you want to do it three, you can, because this has the extra piece in here for the third part of elastic that was in the belt, you can do it that way. So I have that. The butterfly is supposed to sit just like that. Isn't that gorgeous like that? You can always zoom in on this, I'm sure. Well, where there is a space, where the tentacle of this butterfly, that's where I'm going to pull the wire up through. Those two spots. Just like this. And this one. Probably should have bent them up first. You think? Yeah, probably should have. You're not supposed to go in there, you're supposed to go on that side. Okay, guys, go together. Sometimes they don't want to do what you want them to do. Right there and right there. Okay. So now the butterfly is in its little spot. And I'm going to take those wires and I'm just going to bend them back to the back. Like I said, I took Swarovski crystals and I took some of the rhinestones that had fallen out that I was able to salvage. I re-glued them back in. You want to use a jewelry glue. E6000 has a great jewelry glue. For that reason. And let's get the little booger in there. I don't get to see what this looks like. If I can see it myself. Eyes aren't getting so good anymore. And the other thing that I really should do, I'm going to, I didn't think about till just now. Sometimes you think about stuff after the fact. And since this kind of flip-flops, kind of flip-floppies, I'm going to put a wire from the back to the front to keep that line down too. Falling off of it, somewhere along the way, like, gets bumped and like, where'd the butterfly go? Down. You gotta flip it up just a little bit to get that wire in there. Come here, baby. There you go. And those last two little spots in the bottom by the butterfly's bottom wings. Nope, you went in the wrong hole. You're supposed to go in there, honey bunch. Right there. There you go. Number. It won't work with you. I have twisted it at the bottom. And lift up those two pieces in the back where the veil will hook onto. And I'm going to put these back up through underneath. All right, so I'm going to show you up close. Okay, this is the butterfly on the front. I put a wire in the very bottom here. Pulled it to the back There's two little spots where this isn't going to go anywhere because the butterfly's solid. And there are the two pieces of wire. Now what I'm going to do with these, I'm going to hook it to these two spots so it will keep that base nice and level. And the butterfly won't fall off either. I don't want the butterfly to fall off. So we're going to go through here. And the little butterfly was attached like this. And that secures it nicely. And the other side, the same thing. Pull that one over that way, opposite direction. And all the while, none of this is going to be touching that bride's head. None of this wire here is going to touch the bride's head. Because it's a little on the concave side, which is excellent. All right. Now, to finish that off, you just twist it about 4 times. I do about 4 times. And when you cut, you're going to smush that down with the needle nose. So I'm going to cut these 2 ends. That's that. And I'm just going to push them down. Now the other thing that I have done in the past is I've gone ahead and put like or you can put a little piece of batting or something up in there. You can glue it onto there just to be, and maybe put a little ribbon on the outside of it. So now I have my butterfly base for the veil. I need to tighten that up just a little bit more. Great thing about these is they can twist and tighten. As you twist them, they tighten more, and that's really, really cool. So it makes it for a better headpiece, just like I just did there. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, the part. It's a 60 by 60 inch piece. Okay, and you got the little hair comb, and it's got to fit on there. But you have to attach the hair comb to this too. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to attach the veil to the comb, and then the comb is going to get attached to this. In that order, just makes it easier. I mean, you can do it the other way, but not crazy about that. And I have my needle and I'm using the beading thread to do this. But first you want to know, does the bride want a fingertip veil, a half length veil, or shoulder? I'm making this fingertip just because too many people wear fingertips anymore that I'm aware of. So what you have to do, you have to have the bride, because not everybody's head is the same size. And you take the portion that's going to be the base, and you put it at the crown of their head. And the crown means, have you ever haircut? You know where they take the comb and they separate hair, and you end up with this part across the front? Well, that's where this goes. This goes where that part will be. It goes there. So you measure from here to whatever length they want for the veil. And what's left over of the 6 inches, that's your blusher veil. That's the other layer. Now you'll see lots of veil that'll be lots of layers. This one layer, but gathered. And we're going to gather it to 4 inches because that's what I need for this and for the comb. So I took one of these little pearly things and then marked where the blusher veil should be. That's from here. And then this is the longer piece. That is fingertip. Okay? See what I'm talking about? So this is where I gather it, right along here. Now I'm not going to gather it like that. No. You don't gather it like that. You don't need a sewing machine. You can do it on a sewing machine. But if you don't have one, it's not that hard. Okay, where that's going to be on the comb, you want cording. Okay. The great thing about veil fabric, you don't have to hem it. Don't need a sewing machine to do that. You do not have to hem it if you don't want to, because it doesn't fray, it doesn't fall apart. So you make a knot in the end of it, and this is one layer of 60 inches, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it flat with the spot where I know I have to gather it. I want to set out big, long stitches, but not too long, about 1/2 inch stitches across, and do it twice. Now you can like what I like to have too. Make sure you do it in a straight line. Put a ruler down there and just stay in line with the ruler and stitch across. It's one of those little tricks I learned. Actually, I taught myself that little trick. And you start on top, just zigzag in and out. Little 1/2 inch stitches works. All the way across. Da, da, da. You get so far and then you gotta pull it through. You don't have to pull through all the way. I got a pretty long piece of thread on here, but this same long piece of thread is also going to sew it to the headpiece portion of the top. You know, the butterfly. And like that. I'll leave about a 4-inch piece hanging out there. I'll go across here. Once you get that first gather line through, it's easy peasy. You do like this. My grandmother is the one who showed me fix a veil when mine was destroyed by my sister's hamster. Oh yeah, my hamster can do some damage, especially when they feel like they're caught in a net and they say, "Gotta get out, gotta get out." And he got out all right, and ripped it to shreds while he was trying to get out. Okay, that's one row. See how fast this is? It'll take long. There's one row. I could go with the one row, but I like two. Gives you more gathers, and it looks more evenly spread out when you do two. You make the next row, bigger stitches if you want, or if you prefer. Leave at the end, because this is the one part where you're going to pull it to gather it up. And go across. Try to stay in line with the previous stitches as much as you can. About a distance between your stitching lines, 1/4 inch. Okay, that's what makes it lay nice. That's when you have them about a 1/4 inch apart. Same thing when you're doing gather stitches for any other piece of clothing you're making. That 1/4 inch is like the magic number. And like this. Oh. Go the rest of the way. It's only hard because I'm standing. But if I sit down, I'm not going to want to get it. Now, I don't know if you can tell, it's already doing a nice little gather there. Yes, it is. I mean, you can decide how you want to accordion. Go across there like an accordion. I just do it just by doing it. And you want to come up on the upside. You want your thread to be coming up through it at the end. Just like when you went inside. Okay. Now I've got these two guys right here. I can cut this one end off. I'm going to knot it up because I don't want this stitching to come out. To come all the way out. That would be a major disaster. Because then you have to restitch it. And this is, I'm sorry, those are paper scissors. Remember, paper scissors for one thing, for paper, and for fabric. We do not mix the two scissors together. And this beading cording, because I don't use this cording, because I don't bead pearls, on this, at least not right now. And the other side's already shut. Let me take that off of there. So now, that's the plusher, that's the back. I'm just going to scrunch it. Scrunch that baby. On both sides. Till we get it to be about 4 inches. Okay? Now you've got all these. We put it on the comb. But there's a trick with that. This is how it's going to look when it's worn. This is going to be over. So what are you going to do? You take the blusher part, you flip it back. Okay? So now the blush, come here. This is where I do a little cheat thing. You take the comb and you're going to secure the veil in the last two holes around that bar. You secure it there, then you're going to whip stitch this to that with that thread. So to do that, you take this end, you come around. Now you got to remember too, when this is worn, a lot of people think you're supposed to put it on this way. No, this way, and then you flip it back. I know it sounds weird, but that's how it stays in place because you're actually making it go the opposite direction. Anyway, so wrap the thread around it with the comb, the bevel side, I guess you call it, facing away from you. And you want to secure this by you wrap it around that last spot. This is just to hold it in place so you can stitch it. And you're going to go around it one more time, and then you're going to tie a knot. So this now, if you pull this way, yeah, it's going to come off. Now the way you can avoid that, and this is what I do. This last tooth on here is solid. It has a hole in the center, but solid. So I fish this through like a needle, as if it was another needle, threading a needle. And I'll put that thread through there, or string, and I'll tie it again. And then I know it's not going to come off of this hair comb. Just a little simple, double knot. It won't go nowhere. You will not lose that comb off of that veil because you tied it into a solid spot. Just like that on this side. I gotta go to the other side, do the same thing. Put that in there. Just like that. Now you're thinking, that's a lot of work. But would you rather spend $300 or $50? Or less than $50? Never know. Just depends on how you adorn it, what you want to add to it. I decided I wanted sparkle, so I added the little crystals to it. And they work very well. I'll put that in there. Tie that down. Ooh, that one looks really well. I'll do that again. And there. So now I have it. It's not going nowhere. And this is where you secure it with your thread. Now I don't want to use too much of it because I'm going to stitch it again, attaching it to the other piece, the butterfly piece, over the wire side. So we're going to do this real easy. And I'm not doing each one, the teeth on the comb, but also inside the hole. But it's only one string because this is beading string. It's very strong. You can use button thread if you want. It's thicker. It's a heavier weight thread. So, and sometimes I'll just sew it through the parts that have the solid hole, just because I want it to stay on there until I can get it onto the main part, the headpiece part. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. Oh, I'm sorry. And when you do this, you start on this side of the veil fabric. We'll pretend like this for start on here. You put the needle through it, and you take it through the solid hole on the comb, not the part that's going to come, let it come out. The solid hole. Okay, and then you snug it up, nice and tight. Tighten it in there, because that's what gives it the poof in the front when it's being worn. Get in there, you. And it doesn't have exact. There's like no set way to do this and that. You just do it. As long as you get it sewn into the holes that are solid, all the way down to the end of the tip of the point, you're good. If you miss a spot, you're going to make up when you go to put it onto the base, so the butterfly part, or the decorative portion of it, I should say. The decorative part. I mean, that's actually the veil's headband portion. So you can do this, things. Okay. I'm almost to a point there. Like that. And you see how it's getting poofy there? That's how you want it to look. And then you're getting that look, you got it. Pull that through. And it's going to be done really quickly. There are all different kinds of styles of veils, and I've come up with my own just because they're unique. You want people to talk about what you're wearing, come up with something. You know, it's like I love being able to give ideas for things you can never buy in a store. Never. Because why? Because the idea is in someone's head, and their head isn't in that store. Or let alone in that designer's place of employ. Okay, so I've got to the end of my hair comb. Okay? Now, this is the tricky part. This butterfly has to go with this. Remember those two wires back there? Remember those? I'm going to put this right there. That hair comb now. You're going to love this, aren't you? Look where the hair comb is now. Hair comb is here. The adornment is here. Blusher veil's behind, facing me. All I have to do now is flip it to the back. Right? You ready to get started? And I'm going to take stitches and stitch from the veil fabric around that piece of wire back there. Okay? Both rows. I am not going through the comb. Through those, around the wire, and back into the tulle. So, let me show you. Okay? I am going the other spot. And I'm pulling that up, just like this, through the tulle on the other side. And then when I come back, the empty space where it'll go up and down. Oops, I missed that one. Go through there. You see how this string is going through? And it's going through. It's going to go around that piece of wire. It goes around the wire and back through in between, back into the tulle, and then back into the tulle. So that now is secured. It's going to stay there. Then for the next step, after that's done, I'm going to go ahead and do part of it here so you can see. The last time when I get to the end and I come through, I'm going to come through the tulle, just like I was. And then I'm going to, you see how that works now? It holds, but it's not going to go anywhere. See? And you're just going to, this is where you might want to do a double thread. And you're only going to go through the tulle. You're not going to go through those parts of the teeth of the comb that would catch it. That's the gathered piece. And when at the end, you cut that off. You cut that part off. So you're just literally going through the parts that aren't sewn to the comb. And you're sewing them around those two pieces of metal, especially in the middle. I mean, that's where you know you've got it good. So I'm just securing it in the center. And I'm going to show you how this looks when the bride actually wears it. You're like that, tulle to tulle. Now to finish it off on the end, you would just tie it off in the tulle itself. So let's see how this blusher veil is going to look. I just have a few more stitches to secure it. And like I said, this piece here, once it's all sewn and secured down, then I'll cut that off. But I don't cut that off until then. Okay, so I was standing here, right? And I had the blusher facing me, and I'm stitching it. And I'm stitching it to this. Well, there are no raw metal edges to get onto the bride's head. How does she wear it? This way. You put it around to the back. And you turn the comb upside down. and then push it forward so that I probably don't have it on my head quite correctly, but there it is. Then you take that first layer, that short layer, and that is the blusher. Isn't that neat? It's unique, it's different, and you didn't need a sewing machine, did you? Have you enjoyed my blusher veil? I mean, look at the back even. Isn't this nice? I mean, it's not, you got it gathered on there, and you put it around the back, you fan it out. So now it's like, now you can see. See? Now to make it a more full kind of veil, use 2 of these. Technically, you really should, but I just thought this was nice and very little money. This is elegant. It's classy, and it's one of a kind. And you know what? That's why this is my passion, because it's all about putting you in it. Oh, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing this. Well, I got the plane earlier. So I made myself a little apron. And yes, it has a bowl on the front. Taurus. That's my birth month. But it also shows that I like a challenge. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This is something different. I've been wanting to do it. And I kept seeing that butterfly screaming my name. Now, the other thing that I think I might just add them. You know, if I wanted to add these little pearl sprays, they call them. All you need to do, if I'm thinking about it. Don't you hate it when you come up with ideas? Is to outline, maybe outline the, yeah, I need your opinion. Should I add the pearls or not? Okay, where they would be like around the edges. Of course, laying flat on it. Around the edge of the butterfly, just have the pearls. What do you think? Is that too much? Or not enough? You know, there's so much more I could add to this. Like crazy. And I'm thinking, I think I might put pearls on there after all. I'm just trying to figure out. And since it's wire, it's on wire. It'll be easy. And if I want more than one, if I really want them to like really stamp out, twist them together, put the wires behind the butterfly in the back, and oh my goodness, you could even have them reach around the front like this. Let's see what I'm talking about. And if you've enjoyed this little tutorial of bridal bliss on a budget, let me know. If you have an idea for something and you don't know how to kind of quite do it, well then ask me and I'll give you as much help as I can. I love doing this stuff. This is like, I love wedding season just because of all the pretty stuff that they come out with. But, you know, pearls on top, maybe pearls on the bottom, you know, something along those lines, you know. I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do it. But the great thing, too, about this is if you add something like this to a veil, and that, you know, when you first come up with the idea, it's like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. I do this a lot, by the way. And then when you get done with it, you wait a couple of days and you go back and you go, why did I do that? I don't want that there. You can take them off. As long as you don't put any permanent glue, they come off. You just don't twist them. This has been part of my bridal season. Having to do with my son's wedding, but it's still bridal season. It's still wedding season. And I would love to know what you think. Is this a good one? Is it something you might like? Because I'm going to gussy it up just a little bit more. And stay tuned. Hey, hit the like button. You had to like something in this video, right? Hit the like, share. I know you know some people out there that have been proposed to, probably. And it's had a lot of supplies. And it's always on a shoestring budget. And I got more ideas for these too. I got a real poofy one I'm going to do. If you want to see the poofy one, I want you to put it in the comments. I want to see the poofy veil. Hey guys, happy wedding season. I am. And I am the stubborn sew-it seamstress, and I love a challenge. Give me one. Give me a challenge. come back. Subscribe, okay? Keep me here to give you more budget conscious ideas.